Okay, part 2 of our Photoshop videos. We can, as we know, manually get the brush, pick slightly lighter and darker colors, and try and build up some contour ourselves. And for more organic, more rounded shapes, that works really well. But Photoshop actually gives us a really good way to cheat when we're looking at the object from front or side on, from directly on. Once it's on its own layer, simply come down here to the FX button, which is the blending options. And there's a number of great things we can do. The first of them is drop shadow. By previewing this on and off and playing around with the effect, you can see exactly what it's doing here. It's making it bump off the page, putting a shadow behind. Perhaps the most useful is the bevel and emboss. Using this, it's adding some automatic highlights and shadows on the edge of our object without us really doing anything at all. We can change the angle of the light, and we have a very quick 3D effect. Some of the other things we can do is to do a stroke, which adds an outline around the edge. Very handy if you've got an object that should have an outline around it. It doesn't have to be black, you can change it to whatever color you like. Something like a screen on a mobile phone or little buttons is generally going to have a solid line around the outside. You can use these blending options to build up contour in a shape very quickly, which is exactly how this iPod here was done. Brush in the metal and then drop shadow and bevel and emboss. If you change your mind on any of these, you can simply double click on the FX and this will come back up. If you want to see how some of them look on or off by themselves to decide if you still want them, clicking the eye will hide and show them, and if they're in the way, the little arrow next to FX will tuck everything back up neatly. When you're painting, another nice tip is to use a gradient. The gradient tool is here, and it lets us select two different colors, or even more if we like, and then draw a line where we want them to start and end. You can see that depending on where I draw the line, it changes the shape. There's also these other modes up here to make it radial or to have it going back to the center. Different effects. You can, of course, click it to the first one and then pick the colors that you're after. The best time to use something like this is to do a nice colored background, which is exactly how this was done in the background, exactly how that was done in the background, and also the road here as well. Doing that type of thing adds a lot of detail and professionalism to what you're working on. Another type of background is this one, which simulates what we do on paper, where we get the markers, do some fairly random patterns and then cut them out. That's also very easy to do. We would simply make a square, switch to the brush in our different colors. It's important to note that there are lots of different brush types here. Depending on the effect you're after, you can build up lots of different details and effects.